It's called the Inflation Reduction Act, but the Congressional Budget Office, which is nonpartisan, said that there would be a negligible impact on inflation this year and barely impact inflation at all next year. I mean, isn't it almost Orwellian? How can you call it Inflation Reduction Act when the nonpartisan experts say it's not going to?
So I appreciate that. I appreciate the question. We've actually addressed this, the CBO. It was the top line number. There's more in there that shows that it will have the money remember how we're doing this too. It's making sure that billionaires in corporate America are paying their fair share, making sure that the tax code is a little bit more fair. And so when you do that, when you put it in its totality, you will see that it will bring down, lower the deficit, which will help fight inflation.
But why is it that if things are getting better, so many Americans are unhappy with President Biden's handling of it?
So, we'll say this, we have said this before. It's like, we get it. We understand what the American people are feeling at this time. This is a number one priority. Inflation has been a number one priority for this president. Lowering costs has been a number one priority for this president.
There are 3 independent studies, though, that show it's actually going to have a minimal effect on inflation, and that many parts of the bill obviously don't even take effect until next year, some years later than that. So what specifically will this bill do to lower costs for Americans right now?
This first of all, immediately, people will be able to lower the fuel costs in their home. There's a 30% tax credit that you can claim in 2022 for installing energy-efficient windows, heat pumps, energy-efficient appliances. That is right away. And on top of that, of course, if citizens want to install solar panels on their roofs so that they can generate their own power, that's another 30% tax credit. And, of course, there's the tax credits that are at the dealership for the automotive sector, for electric vehicles. And if you install an electric vehicle charging station in your home, you can also get a tax credit.
When you're talking about tax credit on solar panels, electric vehicles, energy efficient appliances and windows, people who are spending money on those things aren't the ones who are living paycheck to paycheck and inflation is hitting the most.
Well, actually, no. I mean, people who are able to qualify, for example, for weatherization. There was a massive increase, billions of dollars, for people who are low and moderate income to be able to weatherize their home and save money right away. Up to 30% of energy bills can be saved. That was part of the bipartisan infrastructure law, which is one of the 4 pieces of legislation that I think have the biggest impact on lowering costs for people that has been passed by this president. So no, there are some things that take effect into the future, some that take effect right now.
Yet it seems that a lot of Democrats still aren't sure they want him to run again in 2024. Let's listen to what they're saying.
Should he run again? I think that I think it's we'll take a look at it.
I don't want to answer that question because we have not. I don't want to answer that question.
Early to say it doesn't serve the purpose of the Democratic Party to deal with that until after the midterms.
Ms. Maloney.
I don't believe he's running for re-election.
God. Congressman, do you want him to run again?
Well, I want us to keep winning as Democrats right now in the House. I mean, we're talking a year or 2 away. I'm not thinking a year or 2 away.
Well, how about you walk and chew gum at the same time and tell us if you think that he should run again or not?
Here's the most important thing for us to focus on right now. We have to keep the House, which I think we have a chance to do. We have to win multiple seats in the Senate, which I know we have a chance to do. And once we do that, we show our strength as a party, which will make him stronger and will help us as we enter 2024.
We are coming up on this 1-year anniversary of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan and the Taliban takeover of that country. You said at the time of the withdrawal that you would have liked the military to stay on as long as necessary to get Americans out and fulfill our obligation to our allies. You had pledged vigorous oversight. We haven't seen the White House or State Department after action reports on this. The country is just in utter devastation under Taliban rule. Did it really have to be this bad?
Well, I certainly don't think the withdrawal had to go as it did, and the loss of American lives during that withdrawal, and the degree to which it took months and months, and we continued to try to help people escape from Afghanistan, I think could have been handled differently.
There was a complete lack and a failure to plan. There was no plan, and there was no plan executed. You know, even beforehand, I think the State Department probably didn't have the resources it needed to carry out an evacuation of this size. And in Normandy, they had 36 consular officers at HYGO trying to process hundreds of thousands of people. They were overwhelmed, but there are so many mistakes. The biggest one, Margaret, for me, being in the classified space, listening to the intelligence community tell the story about this is going to be imminent. It's going to fall sooner rather than later. The military told us the same thing. And then we went to state, and they paint in the White House a very rosy picture. There's a disconnect between intelligence on the ground and what the White House is doing. I think in this report, this says it all. Like, there's no way we're going to evacuate embassy personnel from helicopters like we did in Vietnam. Yeah. And of course, we know that happened.